Nick Fuentes, he keeps saying that, I hear it's like, oh, Nick Fuentes isn't that extreme, but he doesn't believe that white and black people should have babies together. Like, what is his possible logic?
It's kind of hard to like get at what he actually thinks, and definitely this is something we should talk about more in depth with Destiny, but it's like, it's almost like he gives me, or like on our interview, because it's kind of like a version of himself that's kind of like, oh, well, I just think everybody should stick together to their own kinds. And then like I've heard quotes from him on his show where he just sounds like much, much more aggressive to other races, you know?
Sure.
So it's kind of hard to figure out exactly where he stands. I don't know.
Fucking not breeding with other races and peoples just leads to inbreeding and just the exact opposite of what some people, it doesn't lead to a pure bloodline. It just makes you get hemophilia and die if you cut your elbow.
You think the average
in the kitchen
is the average mixed race person more attractive than the average person who's like all one race?
Have you ever been to fucking Ireland, dude?
That's a good point. Yeah.
You ever want to have sex with a transparent fleshed, red-headed, fire-crotched Irish lass?
Yeah, that's true.
Think about it, dude.
They are disgusting, yeah.
Everybody in Ireland is just like a fat potato farmer.
But okay, you go to Russia, you go to Switzerland, you go to fucking, Estonia. Bro, I'm telling you, they have the most elite-looking white bitches you've ever seen in your fucking life out there. It's like the chick working at McDonald's half the time looks like she could be a supermodel in America. It's fucking weird. So that would be my only argument against that.
They probably got invaded by some horde at some point, though.
But do you think that there's like some effect that mixed race people have on your brain where it's like it's interesting? It's something you haven't seen necessarily, so your brain interprets it as being more attractive, or is it the other way where it's kind of challenging for your brain, so your brain perceives them as being less attractive? I'm tending to go towards more attractive, like the way people, but it also depends the races. But like, can you think of a bad blend?
It's a very interesting question.
Right.
Black and Asian, most people like. White and black people like. Asian and white people love.
We just condemned the Irish as ugly.
I'm Irish. I can do that. I'm holding the scepter here.
If you take an Irish person and you mix them with a Nigerian woman, doesn't that sound a lot better than just plain old Irish?
I mean, one always must be careful when mixing Irish and Nigerian. It's the rule of thumb. No,
we have some more research to do on this topic before we can really figure it out.
Now, I agree with you, though. I think what is new and rare stands out. Just like when, I don't even think it's big tits or big asses. I don't think evolutionarily there's much value in that, but it's novel. So when you're walking through the mall, you're like, B cup, B cup.
No, but that's all evolution.
Double D's.
Big tits and big ass are all evolution because that's letting you know that she's going to be able to feed your kids well.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So all the milk just hangs out in the titty and she's going to run out if she's got small tits?
Your animal brain perceives it that way.
Okay.
I
think maybe that those things are just novel and they stand out. I don't see what a big ass... I know... So the one evolutionary sign of reproductive health that is irrefutable is hip to waist ratio.
Oh, exactly. That's why the BBL is so popular. Even more so than the fake tits, really. It's like the number one thing that's going to make you look way more attractive to the average person. Yeah.
A big trunk, and that doesn't necessarily just mean ass. It means hips. It means your belt line. If that's wide and then around your belly button gets narrow, that indicates fertility.
And that's one of the biggest things when you look at a trans woman on Instagram.
That gets you rock hard?
No, it's one of the biggest things that like allows you to be able to discern between who is a biological male and who isn't. But the thing is, I know some trans girls who are out here getting hip fillers. So the fucking, between that and the lipo, they have tiny ass waists and their fucking hips look gigantic. This is the thing that's going to make it so that no man is able to tell if they're sleeping with a trans person or not, because that shit's tricky.
You know, in World War II, when the bombers used to drop chaff, it would jam the German radar.
Okay.
Hip fillers are trans chaff. They jam our transdar.
Yeah, because, okay, have you read about the lab synthesized meat that they're working on? I'm talking about food, not trans people right now.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to know. But I have. It's artificial meat. It tastes just like
grow
meat.
It in a fucking laboratory, and they're able to synthesize it. And so it's like you could theoretically have, ground beef or a steak that didn't actually come from an animal.
Yeah.
And if you were to get it to the point that no human being were able to tell the difference, it kind of calls into question veganism, because you're like, oh, well, if you could eat something that is exactly like a steak, but it doesn't have any of the cruelty associated with it, then what's the difference? If trans surgeries get so good that nobody is able to tell the difference, are they even trans?
I think we're going to get to a point where it is not considered gay by anybody's measure to just have sex with trans people.
I think we should start with this podcast right here.
You and I got to fuck a trans?
I think that would be a great episode. This has been a clip from my new podcast, Sledge Lords with Danny Mullen. We're dropping a new episode every week, so either hit the link in the description or search up the Adam22 channel on YouTube. Appreciate you guys.